Welcome all viewers to your favorite military history channel, your go-to place for cracking the 2026 DSSC examination. Friends, in our previous videos we've already covered the journey till Chapter 5, Part 1. And today, it's time to march forward. In this video, we'll dive deep into Chapter 5, Part 2, the Indochina War, the Eye of the Storm. But before we charge into the battlefield of history, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and share this video with your friends. Trust me, this could be the difference between passing and topping the DSSC exam. Also, for those who want the PDF notes for quick revision, the contact number is right there in the description box below. Don't miss it. So, friends, without wasting any more time, let's gear up, load our historical cannons, and step straight into the storm. Chapter 5, Part 2, the Indochina War, the Eye on the Storm. Picture this, 22nd September 1962, a date that would quietly set the wheels of history turning. Inside the Ministry of Defense, far from the icy vines of NEFA, a decisive order was typed out. The Indian Army was to evict the Chinese as soon as the brigade concentrated. But here's the twist, this historic directive didn't come from the defense minister, not even from a senior general. It came from a junior bureaucrat. That junior officer was H.C. Sarin, Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Defense. And with just a signature and a secret stamp, the fate of an entire front was sealed. This was not just paperwork. It was the spark that would ignite one of the most controversial episodes of the 1962 war. While Delhi was issuing orders, in Shillong, the mood was explosive. The officers of 33 Corps could hardly believe what they were reading. Brigadier Jagjit Singh Arora, a man known for his clarity and courage, demanded answers. Why were such unreasonable orders being sent from hundreds of miles away? Host, on the ground, every experienced commander agreed. An offensive across the icy Nam Ka Chu was not just risky, it was impossible. But to Eastern Army Commander, Lieutenant General Bogey Sen, this was not prudence. This looked like insubordination. A clash was brewing, not with the enemy across the river, but between Delhi and its own frontline commanders. 25th September 1962. After days of exhausting mountain trekking, Major General Niranjan Prasad finally reached Lumpu, a frozen outpost in the high Himalayas. He wasn't just fighting the cold. He was walking into a storm of decisions that could decide the fate of the front. Prasad had once supported Brigadier Dalvi's caution, holding the line, avoiding reckless moves. But now, the weight was different. From Delhi came political urgency. From the Eastern Command came military orders. Together, they pressed down like the mountain itself. This was no longer just a tactical debate. It was a battle between survival, duty, and orders from above. In the icy camp at Lumpu, Major General Prasad delivered the message from above. Brigadier Dalvi was to prepare a formal attack plan for Delhi. But there was a problem. Everyone in that tent knew the mission was suicidal. Dalvi's reaction was instant and furious. He flatly refused. No question of evicting the Chinese, he shot back. The order made no military sense. The terrain, the enemy positions, the weather, all against them. Yet, in Delhi, and in the Eastern Command, the push for action was only growing stronger. The gap between orders and reality was turning into a chasm. Brigadier Dalvi's attack appreciation was built on one key assumption, that only a single Chinese battalion blocked their path. But the truth was far deadlier. Intelligence Bureau reports painted a very different picture. Not one battalion, but to full regiments, nearly 2,000 troops were entrenched behind Thagla Ridge. That's almost 6 times the strength Dalvi believed he was facing. And yet, this critical information never reached the brigade. On the eve of battle, they were planning for a fight against shadows. Without knowing the mountain was already swarming with an enemy force they could never match. 3rd October 1962. In the rugged highlands of NEFA, the thud of helicopter rotors signaled the arrival of a man who would change everything. Lt Gen B.M. Biji Kaul, handpicked by Defense Minister Krishna Menon and Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, had been sent with a single mission: evict the Chinese. His appointment as commander of the newly raised 4 Corps sent an unmistakable message to every officer in the sector. The debate was over. Dissent was over. From now on, orders would be followed, no matter the cost. But as Kaul took charge, the storm over Nam Ka Chu was no longer just on the horizon. It was about to break. At 16,000 feet, where the air is thin and every step is a battle, Lt Gen Kaul gave his next order. 2 battalions, 2 Rajput and 1/9th Gorkha Rifles, were to march to Tsangdhar, on foot, carrying their weapons and supplies on their backs. They had barely enough rations for 2 days. No mules, no vehicles, just the crushing weight of gear and the thin hope of reaching their destination in time. The cold was merciless, -10 degrees, and before they even saw the forward area, 4 Gorkha soldiers were gone, not to bullets, but to the mountain itself. It was a grim omen, a warning that nature in these heights could be deadlier than any enemy. And yet, the orders kept coming. 9th October 1962. Lt Gen Kaul laid out his bold new plan: bypass the Chinese positions on Thagla Ridge and seize Yamsula, a pass he claimed was unguarded. The room fell silent. For officers who knew the terrain and the enemy, this wasn't bold, it was reckless. Lieutenant Colonel Rick, commanding officer of 2 Rajput, didn't mince words. He called it exactly what it was: madness. But the plan would move forward, because in Kaul's NEFA, objections carried less weight than orders. Before dawn, 10th October 1962, the stillness shattered. Chinese mortar rounds slammed into Zhangjiang, where Major Chaudhry's patrol clung to their trenches. Just a short distance away, Lt Gen Kaul was beginning his morning shave. The sudden blasts froze him mid-stroke. In that instant, one dangerous illusion was gone forever: the belief that the Chinese would not respond. The storm had broken, and the eye was no longer on the horizon. It was here. The Chinese came in wave after wave, their shouts echoing through the valley. Havildar Malkiyat Singh held his ground, his LMG cutting through the advancing lines, until the last belt of ammunition ran dry. Then Naik Chain Singh stepped up. He covered his comrades' withdrawal, firing until he was completely surrounded. And Sepoy Kanshi Ram, though wounded, clutched his final grenade. When a Chinese officer closed in, he pulled the pin and hurled it, the blast throwing the officer back. Moments later, Kanshi Ram collapsed. Against impossible odds, they fought until they could fight no more. Zhangjiang was lost, but their courage was carved forever into history. By afternoon, the Punjabi defenders had nothing left to give, their ammunition gone, their positions overrun. They fell back across the icy Nam Ka Chu, each step under enemy fire. 9 men would never return. 11 more were wounded. 2 were taken prisoner. For the men of 7 Brigade, this was not the end of the fight. It was only the beginning. The eye on the storm had opened, and what lay ahead would test the limits of courage and the cost of command. And with that, we come to the end of this part of Chapter 5, The Eye on the Storm. A story of orders, courage, and the price paid in those frozen heights. And for those who want the PDF notes for your DSSC 2026 preparation, just call the number shown on your screen or in the description below. Thank you and Jai Hind.